dropped out for a minute. So the last part I wanted to cover was so you got all of this money and it's available and you claiming all this money and people may start exchanging with you and things of that nature. And then it's important for you to do this job. And this is the job people hate. You have to track daily annuities. You have to do it in sports. You have to track annuities. You don't have to necessarily watch sports. I didn't say that, but you have to track 1 to 0s because this goes into banking. The rest of those units, that could be tickets, sports, sales, whatever. I mean, you can get into that. I mean, there's ways to claim other numbers, but it's more advanced. But it's a definite, though. When it comes to 1 to 0, even in sports, they have to honor this as some form of an annuity. And to figure out who went bankrupt and who just got accepted. And that's what I'm going to go into. When the annuity falls, everything that you was monetizing on in that area is basically zero. Unless you have to be intelligent in doing this. Very intelligent. Unless you can prove that the annuity is in your favor. Which, of course, you have to have a certain amount of money. And then you have to track where the annuity dropped and, like, where were you located when the annuity drops. So say, for instance, the annuity dropped last night and you was at home asleep. But then you claiming land somewhere across town. That didn't connect to your land necessarily. Now, you can link it back over time, but you have to figure out, did your land lose or did you gain off of that annuity? And it's a definite. So that's the thing about 1 to 0 in sports. You definitely lost some or gained some money. See, other scores, like when you see 5 to 4, that's more advanced. I'm not going to speak on that now, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily lost money if a team loses on a certain level of score. It's kind of like playing cards. You have a certain amount of books and spades or whatever, right? And you might lose that hand, but you got to play again. You got to deal again, right? So you might have a low hand on that hand, and the next hand, you might top that. So you didn't necessarily lose until the end, until the 1 to 0 comes in. So that's something that people need to think about too, because they try to form their own annuities. They say, well, you lost 1 because I beat you, and it's like, no, because there's still money on the table. So that's something that's harder to understand for people. But going back to the 1 to 0, this is when your application has either been rejected or accepted, essentially, if you're on the beginning level. And if you've already monetized up to like $1 million, this is letting you know what's going on with your money. Where is it going now? When the 1 to 0 drops, that could mean that it went to another bank account. It's no longer linked to that land, and you have to figure out why. And the thing about these annuities, they're very advanced. I know people are like, well, how can you use sports to try to measure business? This is all game of chance. Business is a game of chance. And what happens is that when sports annuities drop, it affects the stock market. It's like Russian roulette. Just like I was saying about water earlier, or a couple episodes back. When the water goes this way, east or west or north or south, this changes the profits on the stock market. So it's the same thing with the annuity, the 1 to 0. So you have to follow that. And somebody definitely lost. So I say be very intelligent, because you can get into serious debt, because these annuities a lot of times are $1 million sometime in the end, maybe $1 million total. And you have people that try to go back into monetizing on the same area after the annuity drops. That's what I want to point out. Your application may have been rejected, meaning you have to put up some more money or something to continue on, and it has to be a certain amount, or you out, cash out. It's like losing. So the annuity is like if you win or lose, that tells you what happened. So if you follow the next annuity, and right now they're only doing baseball annuities, because annuities happen usually in single sports. There are annuities in football, but I can't go into that now because I don't want to take you to something to help you and like go off track, like have your mind all jumbled up. So we're just gonna focus on single digit baseball, and then hockey and soccer. And they do annuities in soccer internationally, but I'm not going to take you there either. That's too much. You want to follow the national annuities. Don't worry about international sports. If it's not on Google, that's what I tell people. If you can't Google search it as a card, meaning that they have a host of games, You can't search that game and look at the annuity, then I wouldn't follow that for right now. You can follow that, but that's more advanced when you know you own land and you trying to figure out how much money you made or lost and all of that type of stuff. That's something different. But this is about like applying for anybody that's just starting this. This is how you get into it. So be coming up with a little bit more information on after the annuity drops. Something else that could happen as well that can make you move up faster without monetizing. We'll talk about that. This multi-level game that they don't tell us about in the digital media world that's now crossing over into the sovereignty world, because you have people that are sovereigns that have a lot of claim in this stuff. So stay vigilant, keep watching. Thank you. Peace.